Here's my challenge to the President of the United States. If you think this is so easy, forego your Secret Service protection for you, for the First Lady, and your children.
Yeah, good luck.
And see what it's like to have to fend for yourself. And then we'll sit down and have a conversation so you know what we here at ground level have to deal with on a daily basis in terms of self-defense. I am done asking people in my community to outsource their personal safety to the government.
Well, that was, of course, Sheriff David Clark last night criticizing President Obama for his take on gun control. The debate over that issue resurfaced almost immediately this week after two journalists were shot and killed during a live broadcast. It's been a hot topic all through the year and for the 2016 presidential candidates. Watch this.
Unless they want to erase the Second Amendment, and if that's what they want to do, I'm against it. But if that's what they want to do, be honest about it and say this is what you want to do. But otherwise, none of the laws they're pushing would have done anything about it.
It's not about the guns. It's about mental instability. You have people with great mental instability.
I strongly believe we've got to have common sense reforms to keep weapons out of the hands of criminals, the violently unstable, domestic abusers, and even terrorists who find it pretty easy in our country to get a hold of a weapon if they so choose.
What I'm saying in general, the problem I see as a governor is that we're not focusing enough on mental health. And all you hear now is let's have new laws, when we don't enforce the laws we have.
I do believe that there's a lot of growing consensus out there that combat weapons should not be available for sale and use.
Well, joining me now with reaction to all of this, criminal defense attorney Eric Guster and Fox News contributor Katie Pavlich. Welcome to you both. Katie, why is it that politicians surrounded by armed guards are always lecturing us about the fact we have no right to defend ourselves? Hillary Clinton asked the other day about stand your ground. She said, you know, if someone comes to your house armed, just call 911. If someone came to her house armed, do you think she'd call 911?
I think that she would have some men with guns handling the business before she called 911. Look, her saying that, first of all, is not true. The Supreme Court has ruled that the police actually have no obligation to protect you, so she's false on that point. But also, yes, they outsource their protection. And in the case of this week and the tragedy that we saw, it's really important to point out that these politicians were calling for more gun control, more laws on citizens, when they had no idea what the facts of the case were. And the reason that they do that in these emotional situations, because they have to have the conversation about gun control in an emotional state, because in a sober state, in a sober situation, their debate about gun control doesn't hold water, and none of their statistics about why they need more gun control hold up, and they can only have the argument when there's a tragedy there, because otherwise they can't make their point.
I think that's a wise point. Eric, I'm as upset by these shootings as anybody in America, and so I want to take this argument seriously because I think it's a real argument. So I want you to assess it as soberly as you can. Is there a law that you're aware of in the state of Virginia that Democrats are calling for that, had it been passed, would have prevented this tragedy this week?
I don't know of any law that would have prevented this tragedy. This man had no criminal record, no criminal history. There was nothing. And I heard what Hillary Clinton was saying about domestic abusers and those types of things. There are laws to prevent domestic abusers from having guns. And I'm in Alabama today during this show. We love our football and our guns. Everyone has the right to have a firearm unless they fall into certain categories. And when Democrats and other people are trying to say, hey, keep the guns out of people, we need more gun control, and using a tragedy, the worst part is them using a tragedy to say, oh my gosh, we need to make stricter gun laws. It's not like this guy walked in with an Uzi or some assault rifle and did this. This is a regular pistol that anyone could have gotten, and he got it the legal way.
Well, that's exactly.
So it's a bad argument.
That's exactly right. Now, I don't want to be cynical, Katie, but I'm starting to think this isn't really about protecting the public. If you were dead set on protecting the public, you would think deeply about how to keep guns out of the hands of crazy people. You wouldn't worry about people like me, a gun owner. You wouldn't worry about my firearms whether I went through a background check.
Right.
You'd worry about how to keep schizophrenics from getting guns.
Right.
This isn't about public safety. It's about social control, isn't it?
Well, and I think it's really important to bring this up, and I'm glad that you did, because Bloomberg's every town for gun safety and against gun violence.
That'd be Mike Bloomberg, who's surrounded by armed guards right now.
Exactly. Who has also been questioned about, will you give up your security? And of course he says no. But his group was out this week also jumping to conclusions conclusions about the situation. And the fact is that they try to take responsibility for the good work that the National Shooting Sports Foundation has done to actually incentivize states to put mental health records into the federal NICS background check system so that these people who do have mental problems are caught in the system when they go through that FBI background check to prevent tragedies like we saw this week. And then they do all the hard work and actually having a solution of protecting the public and real hard data to prove it. And they come in and say, look at how the background check system has been improved. This is due to our work at Everytown. When it's not, it's actually the pro-gun people who are protecting Second Amendment rights who are the ones who are improving the mental health check system in this country.
I'm glad you mentioned the Second Amendment. Number 2 in the Bill of Rights. Eric, you're a lawyer. Supreme Court has ruled twice on this in recent years, affirming the Second Amendment is, in fact, an individual right to keep and bear arms. Short of repealing that amendment, none of these solutions really add up, do they? I mean, shouldn't liberals be honest? They want to repeal the Second Amendment. Why not say so?
Right. If they want to repeal it, then they need to just say that instead of trying to put all of these provisions to essentially keep guns out of lawful, law-abiding people. And we have to make sure that we don't let these tragedies like this make us into an emotional state where, oh my gosh, we have to do something about these guns. No, this is a fool who had a gun. I'm heartbroken for this family. Some people have tragedies like this that impact them, but we can't make a knee-jerk reaction to say, let's get rid of all the guns. Let's stop everyone from having a gun, because everyone can have a gun. Every citizen can have a gun to protect their family from intruders, because the bad guys already have them.
Right.
So good people need to have them too.
I'll give up my guns when Mike Bloomberg gives up his guns. It really is like the public school debate.
Right.
Your kids ought to go to some crummy public school run by hack union members, but my kids are going to Sidwell, and they're totally fine. This is a class debate to some large extent, isn't it?
Yep,
people in the ivory tower dictating from on high to below what they think those people should do.
Right, exactly. And giving you false information. I do want to stress that the police have no legal obligation to, quote, protect you. They are the second line of defense. You're your first line of defense, and that is the way it's going to be every single time.
Right.
So, Eric, I want to get
call
quickly...
911, it's going to take them 10 minutes to get there anyway. You'd be dead.
Today is the 10th anniversary of Katrina. I was there. First thing that happened after the levees broke, the police left. And people were left on their own, and those without guns became victims, and those with guns didn't. That's simple. I want to quickly get your reaction to the verdict in this case around St. Paul's School in Concord, New Hampshire. A senior there on trial for rape. Verdict came in today. Do you have a view on that?
I saw the testimony, saw the young lady's testimony. This is what I expected. One thing about this case, Tucker, that we have to look at the statutory rape laws. This young man was essentially convicted of having sex with someone who was in the same school, within the same age range, but there's too big of an age difference. Throughout the United States, we have these laws that a lot of young men are being convicted of. That's essentially your senior boy, your sophomore, freshman girl, and that's unfair, and we need to change that.
Right. So the question is not, is it wrong? Yeah, of course it's wrong. Is it the same as, say, molesting a child? Should he be a sex offender for life? That doesn't seem quite fair.
And that's what I have a problem with.
Right.
And we fight those cases all the time because, like I said, senior boy, sophomore girl, she gets heartbroken.
Right.
She says, I was raped, and that's what causes so many young men to be facing arrest and a lifetime of being reported, having to send notifications out. It's a bad life.
Never getting a job. Eric Guster, thanks for joining us. Katie Pavlich, it's great to see you. Thanks for coming on. Well, coming up next, Hillary Clinton compares her Republican rivals to Al-Qaeda, to ISIS, to terrorists. Why? Because they may want some limits on legal abortion. Up next, 2016 Republican candidate Governor Mike Huckabee is here to respond to that.